didn't do anything particularly heinous.
Yeah, he's one of the surprise packages to me. When you sign him, you're like, oh, fucking hell, what we got this guy for?
I agree. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, he's been solid this year.
George Lawler was quietly impressive again. I think he's just having a really solid season, isn't he? You commented when he got put in the England Knights squad, I think, about this.
Yeah. When I put that, I think he was quite fresh off his horrible injury from last year, but it's showing why he probably should be in that consideration.
Definitely, yeah.
Don't stop.
I mean, highlight moments for me, in terms of the entertainment from the play, it's both Theo tries from Salford actually provided the most entertainment from that perspective. I mean, it was a great team play by them covering the width of the pitch, probably a bit more than the width of the pitch, with some inventive offloading from your former man Chris Wellham as well. That led to his first score, and then his nice diving second score in a tight area helped him again. Wellham with a good piece of play to put him free, helped him grab his second. They were my highlights watching the game as a neutral. That and the little bit of a scuffle that nearly broke out, but he didn't quite get He didn't quite get past handbags to warrant highlight reel status. The fight after the Joe Thompson penalty that we talked about before. But what about you?
Just when the final hooter went, that was my best moment.
You could finally breathe. Yeah. Salford threw everything at you, didn't they, in the last 10 minutes? They had a couple of chances. They just maybe lacked composure to mean that you didn't get to celebrate that final hooter.
Yeah, just all it took is one penalty or anything. That'd have been it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and it edges you clear of relegation. Not too much of a spoiler for when we run through the standings later on, but it edges you 2 points above the bottom place side rather than being equal bottom. Now you're still in 11th though. Do you think it's still going to be a scrap, or do you feel this is a springboard to show that you're just about good enough to win just about enough games?
Well, that's KR. Will probably bring it down to the last game of the season just to add some extra drama to stuff. That's how we like to do it.
Well, you're doing it for the rest of the league as well, because we all want those storylines and entertainment, Tom. So, so thank you to you and your whole KR side for these close run things, and thanks for being part of this Magic Weekend episode.
No problem. See you again.
Okay, game 5 of the Magic Weekend, the middle game of the Sunday, and probably the game where we actually saw the most sunshine of the weekend, which was a pleasant break from the grey clouds and scattered showers that we experienced. But it was Leeds versus London, and to talk about that game, we've got Joshua on the line, Leeds fan. Welcome back to the show, Josh.
Cheers, mate. Thanks. Good to be back on soon after my first experience, so I'm pleased to be back on quick.
Exactly, you must have made an impression. Before we talk about the game, we'll first just catch up with you on your experience of Magic Weekend. Now, you were just there for the Sunday. You were there for the Leeds day, effectively, but I'm guessing you caught a bit of the atmosphere and the other games and that sort of stuff as well. So, first of all, where were you sat and how did you find things?
So, my dad's actually in a wheelchair. So we end up in the sort of accessibility bit, which is actually more or less right in Anfield. It's right at the front of the ground, and we were at the Cop end.
Okay.
Now, compared to I do find that the atmosphere over the day was, I think, better than Newcastle, even though the attendance wasn't as high. I don't know whether it's just the atmospherics of the ground or the fact that there isn't as much to do around the ground. But I found that it was a lot busier throughout the whole day.
That's an interesting point. Certainly the atmosphere of the singing and stuff stays in the stadium a lot more than it does at some of the other venues we've had at Magic Weekend. So it felt louder and fuller, even though it wasn't, obviously, in terms of actual people through the stadium. So that's a really good point to make. And you sat at the front of the Cop, you'll have had all the noise from the Salford fans, from what Leeds fans were in that stand, and then obviously the St Helens fans, which was the biggest fan base on the day as well.
I mean, the Leeds fans seem, from what I could notice, seem to be spread quite thin all over the place. I mean, I don't think there was a great number of us anyway, disappointingly.
We had a good amount in the main stand, sort of in the middle middle blocks of the main stand where I was sat. Yesterday there was a lot of Wigan fans in those seats, and on the Saturday there was a lot of Wigan fans in the seats, and on the Sunday there was a lot of Leeds fans in those same seats. So maybe that was, but it wasn't a very singing area where I was sat around the press box in the main stand.
No,
so I'm not sure. One Leeds fan did get up though and admonished the coaching staff who were sat behind us for not taking the 2 at one point, and that was very loudly and clearly heard and received.
I think the thing with that, I'm sure even Myler even said, "Do I take the 2?" I'm sure they were even going on about taking the 2, and then they just decided not to do it. So I don't understand what happened.
So in terms of like disability access and that sort of thing, was it a good stadium to get around and to be in?
I do have to say football grounds are a million times ahead compared to most rugby grounds. Like they pretty much have dedicated staff that are specifically just there for people with wheelchair accessibility and stuff, and there to help in any way, like helping to take them to the toilets, and they're just a lot smoother at it and a lot more experienced, I think, compared to like even in Leeds, even Headingley, which is like a big stadium. You do find that you sort of have to wander about, and it's just not as slick as I find in football grounds. I mean, St James's Park was the same. They were very good, but I just found that Anfield they just seem to have it down to a T, which is a bit disappointing because when you look at the amount of like wheelchair spaces that are there wasn't a massive amount of people. But just from my experience of like Headingley and other grounds that I've been to with my dad, home-based following for wheelchair people accessibility. There's quite a large number. There's a large number of season ticket holders in Leeds that are wheelchair accessibility people.
Yeah.
And I do think that if they were aware of how good the accessibility is in these football grounds and these new places, because that's what a lot of the problem is. It's fear of going to somewhere new and not knowing how things are going to go. Because you go to Headingley, you go there all the time. You rehearse yourself in where things are and confident in what's going to happen. Whereas, if people were aware how good they were, I'm sure more people in that sort of area would come, if you kind of get what I mean.
No, I totally get what you mean. Yeah, definitely. That sounds, I mean, that's promising as well with, newer stadiums going up all the time as well. I think they've got reasonable disabled spaces at the Salford Stadium, like decent viewing and stuff from what I've seen. And, I'm guessing there's a bit more now, is there, at the new Headingley than what there was before?
Or in the South Stand, the viewing place for the South Stand, for example, is better than what it used to be.
Yeah.
The only problem with Anfield is you are very low down to the ground. You are very low down, so if you're
at the Cop, I noticed that. I think on both the side stands there was spaces higher up, but but then you sort of lose the atmosphere, don't you, when you're sort of stuck out at the end of a stand, kind of a bit higher up.
Yeah, so it's kind of like pros and cons for each, but it does make it difficult to sort of see what's going on at the far end of the ground. But luckily the screen was quite close to in the Cop end, so it was pretty much a bit of a logistical game of watching when it's close enough to see, and then having to sort of watch a bit of it on telly. But I've got used to that over time now, because quite a lot of times it ends up in them sort of situations, and it's more the atmospherics. That's why I like to go to games. Really, it's nothing to do with. But most of the time I have to rewatch games anyway after I've been. So.
And one of the great things about Leeds' game this weekend was a lot of the other fans did hang around. Maybe Cos around the stadium's not as pretty, so a lot of the fans did hang around and became Londoners for the hour and a half or so.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that. I definitely noticed that it seemed like there was more vocal noise for London than there was for Leeds, definitely. Which is just to say that. As they don't have the biggest following, it was good to hear. It was good, because I do always worry with smaller clubs then with followings that in these sort of events they get sort of like drowned out by people like St Helens singing constantly throughout the day, as they were doing. But it seemed like everyone sort of stopped chanting for themselves and went on to doing the old going against Leeds as everyone normally does, which is always good fun.
Yeah, and that takes us nicely onto the game and kind of why it built up to that situation, especially as in the final stages of the game, as it was all on the line. But the match finished Leeds 24, London 22. It was 10-6 to Leeds at half-time. James Child was the referee. He might have to be mentioned in this one. we don't have stats, unfortunately, on this game at all. The Super League website didn't care enough about the bottom two or two of the bottom three, should I say, to be correct. So we've not got those. So before we roll into the other fan views, we've got you on for your fan view. So give us a sort of overview of what you made of the match and how you were feeling during the match.
It was kind of like a repeat of the rest of the season. I feel it was a first time I've ever been to Magic and been nervous or being sort of anxious of the outcome, because I did think that London were going to turn us over, and for the first 60 minutes or so I felt like we were quite comfortable and in control. I mean, there were some messy plays of the balls, ill discipline in the middle of the game, but then once we come down to what was it, a 20? We were 24-10 up, weren't we, at some point? I'm sure
24-10 with 12 minutes to play.
12 minutes to play and taking it down to a 2-point margin. I mean, it was at the end I was just like, why? I just can't understand why they're doing this to me. I genuinely thought it was all going to get thrown away, and well deserving if it had been that, because London definitely towards the last 12-20 minutes they picked up speed. I think that because they are young, they're young and not as experienced as a lot of other clubs. But one thing that they definitely do have is they have a lot of pace, and they can keep that pace going throughout a lot of the games. Yeah, they make more mistakes than most teams and sort of things like that, but they definitely are you can't fault them for the effort levels that they have, even when they're quite far down on the scoreline, which I think was good to see from them. But from us, it was just discipline and lazy defending. I mean, most of their tries, especially when they were in their 5-10 meters, they were just walking through us, really.
They were able to find offloads. I mean, they were being creative with their play, but also Leeds weren't wrapping up as such. But you kept them down to only four tries. That's progress, probably.
It is progress, but I'll be honest with you. If you was to look down the list of the teams, it shouldn't be that close. If with all respect to London, and we've been playing. I know we've been playing rubbish, and it's representative of that. But it's just frustrating that we can't be more comfortable winning. Do you know what I mean? It feels like we should.
So you're still frustrated, even though I'm guessing massive relief. I mean, the players were hugely relieved on the pitch at the end of the game, so I'm guessing the fans felt the same way.
Definitely, it was, and it was always going to be. It was like I watched the video the other day about all the Wire fans after they won their game and how excited they were, and I just thought it didn't even matter. Even if we'd have got that, it'd still be for us. Meh. Do you know? There's no other way to describe the end of that feeling. It's we won, but do you know what I mean? It's got played into this relegation. Oh, it's a relegation decider. It's not. It's not, because there's still quite a few games to go, and it's only getting worse for us. It's only getting harder as the season's going on for us, and I can't see it improving anymore. And all it takes is London. I mean, I'll be honest, those next 4 games, I mean, I think we've got Wakefield, who's already beaten us a few times. I think we've got Catalan and a few other teams that I'll be honest, can't see us beating at all.
You got us as well in 3 weeks.
Yeah. And
so,
I just think London could probably pinch a win somewhere if someone's not expecting it, and we could still end up in a bit of a sticky situation, I think.
Well, before we look too far into the future, let's look at the other fan views we had on this game. So we got Dr. Hideous, who of course is a London fan. He was there, sat not too far away from me. He said, awful first 15, sloppy defence and set completion was something we'd only heard of, but much better for the next 25 minutes, inspired by our absolute unit of a doctor coming on briefly and showing what a real man was. Second half, another poor start. It got better, but not better enough. Leeds clocked off with 10 to go and let us get a sniff, but we realised at last that time wasn't up and managed to end very well. Malcolm Matias, and I'll preface this, Josh, by saying this will make more sense when you listen to the whole show. He says, Salford's 4th in 2 days. Even Ginger Spice can't keep up with the costume changes. Madness. Knackered. # player welfare. Paul Chamberlain said, The win flattered Leeds, with London playing the better stuff but having their usual poor 10-minute spells, which cost them the game. Still, if Childs had only given 10 minutes for Watkins' weekly spear tackle, a penalty try for the headshot on Kia when 2 metres from the line, and the forward pass for Leeds' try, it might have helped. With points difference, London's now have an effective 2-game down and toast. Shame. And Tom Andrews said, 10 more minutes and Leeds would have been dead bottom of the table. Dodgy decision gives them the win, though. Abdul is playing out of his skin at London, developing into a quality player. I think his opinion on Abdul maybe has turned around again now that he's going to be back at Hull KR next year.